Assalamu alaikum. Since the fall of the Assad regime, the airports have opened and Syrian Americans are eager to travel back, invest, and take other steps to help the Syrian people and invest in the Syrian economy. When traveling to Syria, it is important to keep in mind that the U.S. sanctions on Syria have not been suspended. In fact, all sanctions on Syria still remain in effect, even though the U.S. has eased some restrictions. The sanctions against Syria prohibit American citizens from importing most things into Syria, conducting business with Syria, and prohibit most exports coming out of Syria. Violation of the sanctions by the U.S. citizens or lawful permanent residents are punishable by both civil money penalties and jail time. The only exception to sanctions imposed on Syria are for transactions conducted for tourism, such as spending the night at a hotel, buying food or entertainment, and things of that nature. It is important to keep in mind that the current Syrian government is still designated by the U.S. as a foreign terrorist organization, and thus doing any business with the government is likely a violation of federal law. If a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident wants to do business or even provide humanitarian aid in Syria, they must apply for and obtain a permit from the Office of Foreign Assets Control, also known as OFAC, in order to be in compliance with the sanctions. People returning from Syria will likely be selected for secondary screening and face extra scrutiny when returning through customs. U.S. citizens have an unmitigated right to enter the country and must only answer questions related to their identity as a U.S. citizen, where they traveled, what items they're bringing back, and how much money they are carrying with them. And they may refuse to answer questions related to any other topics. U.S. citizens should exercise their right to remain silent, ask to be let into the country, and ask for an attorney at the border if detained. Lawful permanent residents can refuse to answer questions at the border, but do not necessarily have the right to an attorney at the border. Lawful permanent residents should never sign any documents at the border without having them reviewed by an attorney. There have been many instances where green card holders have signed away their right to their immigration status at the border after being tricked by CBP. If asked by CBP, everyone must hand over their cell phones to agents, but U.S. citizens and lawful permanent residents are not required to open them or provide the passcodes to allow access. If you have questions or difficulties at customs and immigration when returning from overseas travel, contact CAIR Michigan at 248-559-2247 or at cairmichigan@gmail.com. Assalamu alaikum.